Uh-oh, guess what day it is?
I'm gonna make you girls a hump day treat.
Mike. It's hump day.
Perhaps I could help you with that hump. What hump?
A very good day for some midweek malarkey.
Well, they come so soon, right? Hump Day is here. It's a high desert hoedown, and it's your old Uncle Brad in the chair once again for some midweek malarkey. And what we try to do here, if you are unfamiliar with the program on Wednesdays, we try to stay off the beaten path and try to find things that are different and weird, and it's hard to do that, being that it's 2024 and all, and just about everything you look at is weird, no matter where you look. But that's what we try to do. We try to find the offbeat, the strange, the freaky criminals, the stuff like that. And I'm sorry, that means that we actually have a health update that we have to get to, because this is important stuff, and this just came down the wire. If you hadn't heard, and again, that's our warning that something weird is about to happen, and it certainly is, because right now the WHO, not the band, but the World Health Organization, the WHO, has now declared that MPox, and don't you dare say monkeypox, because it's MPox, not monkeypox. MPox is now a global emergency, according to the World Health Organization. It's 2024. What did you expect? This follows an emergency committee meeting that was held by the Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus today. I know how to pronounce it. You don't. Many of the cases currently only in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, which is strange name for a place like that, and the neighboring countries, that is, in Africa. So I wouldn't worry about it. I mean, I would say there's a very small chance that it would ever, be here. I mean, just in time, for stuff like the election and all that to be disrupted, and you might have to wear a mask. Although this time they might make you do the whole full body condom thing. But not monkeypox, MPox. You speciest. It's not good. If you get it, not good. You can quote me on that. This update from the WHO, not the band, World Health Organization, is of international concern and constitutes a health risk to other countries around the globe. So no matter where you're listening today, whether it's in the United-ish States of America or somewhere across the pond, in the old UK, or maybe you're on the continent of Africa, maybe you're in Atlanta. No matter where you are, cases have been confirmed among children and adults in more than a dozen countries, and a new form of the virus is spreading. You can bet your sweet bippy that it's a brand new form of the virus, probably something they've never seen before, which means you'll have to stay at home and not even. You probably won't even be able to be allowed to be on social media, because somehow that will, in fact, spread the MPox. So you heard it here first. It's going to happen. It's a crazy, crazy world, and we're here to tell you about it. Don't forget, no matter where you are, you can always reach out and touch someone, namely moi. You can download the Daily Mojo app. That's where you can watch Midweek Malarkey and Saturday Morning Live with myself and Jeff Fisher from the Chewing the Fat podcast. You can follow me on the socials at Real Brad Staggs, and then Brad at thedailymojo.com. It's easier, though, if you just go ahead and download the app, because then you can send me direct messages on the app if you have an idea for a story, or you just want to send pictures or money. Either way, any way you want to do it, the app is the way to do it. Download the app at thedailymojo.com. I know that Chris is watching somewhere out on the left coast. We'll explain the whole high desert hoedown thing coming up here shortly. And let's see, where else? Jay West is watching over in the YouTube, on the YouTube channel. Lady Cougs is over watching at midweekmalarkey.com. So is Dawn. She says, OMG, hello, everyone. It's been so long since I've been able to watch a live show. This is indeed live. All of the numbers and the lips on this show should be moving at this point in time. All right, so let's get to the real story. And I say we try to keep it light, but sometimes we just go weird. And this is one of those times we're just going to go weird. This dude right here. I mean, I know he looks like a swell kind of guy. He was somebody's husband. Well, he's still alive. He still is somebody's husband. So in a significant development, this is a cold case that has haunted Atlanta now for over 2 decades. The husband of a woman who was found murdered and dismembered in bags over 25 years ago, right? Nothing says hump day like murder and dismemberment, has finally been arrested. This guy right here, his name is Christopher Wolfenbarger. They've arrested him, and he has been accused of the murder of this woman here. That was his wife. Her name was Melissa Wolfenbarger. That was at their home in Griffin, Georgia. And he is now so the streets are safer now in Georgia, especially in Griffin. He's at the Fulton County Jail facing that murder charge. And it's really kind of a strange story because her dad, she disappeared back in 1998. And it was a while before they found her. It was the spring and summer of 1999, a year later, that they actually found her. And the weird part about this whole thing is that her dad was actually a serial killer. I mean, it's just who knew? It's just strange. Her dad was Carl Millard Patton Jr. He had been detained at the time for murdering 4 other individuals. The 1977 homicide of a 31-year-old woman. Then there were 4 other additional murder cases. Betty Jo Eflin, Fred Wyatt, Joe Cleveland. And while he was in jail, this again, Melissa's father, he admitted to killing a 5th victim, Richard Russell Jackson. So then Patton Jr.'s wife, this guy's wife, who was Melissa's mother, was also accused of helping him dispose of the victims' bodies. But then she ended up flipping on him in court, and he received a life sentence. He's remained in custody at the Dodge State Prison. So then they found his daughter, who was the wife of this guy, and again, her name is Melissa, dead, killed by her husband, and her dad was a serial killer himself. Strange enough to be a story from 2024. So again, Griffin, Georgia, the streets there, much safer. You can sleep at night. That is a very large plug. I don't know if there's a cord at the other end, but that's a very large plug. This is a very large tape measure. That's a very large master lock. And that is one hell of a clothespin. The dude standing underneath the clothespin, his name is Steve Wainwright. Steve Wainwright has a thing. Steve Wainwright likes to build things big, like really big, like super duper big. 61-year-old dude says it's all about dreaming big. That's what he spends his time in the workshop doing, which actually I'm a little bit jealous because who doesn't want to build that would be cool, to build a clothespin that big. Is it like 2.5, 3 feet across? Why? Why not? I mean, at this point, I'm willing to bet if I built it, you could buy it. You'd buy that from me, wouldn't you? I mean, come on, we're friends. He's built an array of much larger than life household items, including the key that we mentioned, a peg. Not the kind of peg I'm thinking of. Even a lipstick, which we haven't seen. We have, however, seen the very large master lock. the very large Stanley power lock, and the really big plug. He's from Stand Ground in Cambridgeshire. That's across the pond. He said his retirement from the ambulance service first prompted him to take on some creative building projects. He said, I felt a bit lost. You know, a lot of people do that. They retire, they have nothing to do, and so some people just decide they are going to build big stuff. Inspiration hit him, he says, when a prolonged bout of rain stopped him from going out to play. Do men really ever grow up? Do we? My dad had a favorite saying that he would refer to somebody. He said, that Bobby, he's just a boy grown tall. Men are just that way. It's how we're wired. See what I did there? That's the wiring. Anyway, he wasn't able to go out to play, and he had a bunch of projects in the garden. So he said, I decided, I looked at my tape measure and I thought, gee, I wonder if I can build this 10 times its size. What man hasn't looked at something and said, hey, I wish that was 10 times its size? Am I right or am I right? Within a short time, the handyman had fashioned a table-sized tape measure. It even had a retractable giant tape. Because if it didn't, that would be stupid. Because then that would just be a giant box. Where the hell did it go? I mean, if the tape didn't retract, that would be dumb. Because anybody can do that. After he built that, his wife gave him a challenge because, you know, what wives do, to build her a lipstick 10 times the usual size. Really? Honey, will you build me a lipstick that's completely impractical? Something that I can't possibly carry with me? Why didn't they send us a picture of that one? Those bastards. He said, 10 times usual size, he obliged. Since then, he has gone on to build more giant objects, including pencils and pencil sharpeners that are definitely too large for normal pencil cases. They would never fit, would they? I mean, that is just crazy. Hey! He usually chooses to create items at 10 times their usual size, mainly because men just think in easy terms. It is the easy maths. A lot of his creations have fascinated passersby who have spied them from the footpath as they walk past his garage. Then they stop to ask questions. Does he actually answer them, or does he do what I would do and shut the door? People's reactions generally positive. He's noticed a distinct difference in the response from men and women. Men say, wow, that is out of this world. And women go, what on earth are you going to do with that? Where are you going to put that? Write your own joke. But good for him. I'm happy he makes big things. That's very, very nice. Before I go any further, the High Desert Hoedown, people have sent me, what the hell are you talking? Why is it Midweek Malarkey and, a High Desert Hoedown today? And here's the reason it's the High Desert Hoedown. Glad you asked. Yeah, I was looking for information on Lee Greenwood. And again, if you haven't watched Saturday Morning Live with Jeff Fisher from Chewing the Fat and moi, please make a note on your calendar to watch and listen Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. Central Time. And he's normally on my other show, The Daily Show, which, not The Daily Show, but The Daily Show, that is called thedailymojo.com. But he's not going to be on tomorrow because he has to interview Lee Greenwood. And when I said, hey, Lee Greenwood, I remember interviewing him in, it was the early mid-'80s out in Lancaster, California, one of the first celebrities I had ever interviewed. And I walked away with less than a stellar impression of him. And so I reached out to, and I looked up online. I was trying to find, information about when he was in Lancaster at the Antelope Valley Fair back in the 80s. And I reached out to my friend Chris, and I said, do you remember, because she's the keeper of the memories, I said, do you remember me interviewing Lee Greenwood back in the 80s? And she's like, yeah, I do. And I said, good, because I don't. And can you fill me in on because I don't remember a damn thing because I have a horrible memory, apparently, long term anyway. So as I'm looking through and I'm finding I found all these references to the Antelope Valley Fair and, of course, to the yearly festival and all of the people. It was like a blue ribbon affair, it was called, in 1983. Boy, those are simpler times, weren't they? I mean, totally simpler. The Harvest Heydays in 1984. I mean, it was the Antelope Valley Fair and Alfalfa Festival. Let's not forget the alfalfa part. And so back in 1982, look at that. There's Judy Farrell. She was Miss Antelope Acres and Miss Antelope Valley that year in 1982. And then we had 1981, Blue Jeans and Country Dreams. My friend Kelly was Miss Lancaster then. There's my friend Chris right in there. And I'm looking, still can't figure out when the hell I was. And I don't think I was like on crack when I remembered interviewing Lee Greenwood in the early to mid 80s. And I'm looking forward to those details, Chris. So please find them for me because my brain is old and rusty. And it just doesn't hold on to things. Anyway, when I saw High Desert Hoedown, I thought, well, now there's a great title for a program, for an episode. And I grabbed it. Basically, I plagiarized. You just don't see episode titles like High Desert Hoedown anymore, do you? Again, it was a simpler time. It just wasn't as crazy. It was just easier. It was just easier back in those days. Simpler and easier. I'll be damned if I can remember when Lee Greenwood was at the fair. But I do remember talking to him. And then, as we move along here, there was something that caught my eye over on YouTube. And I thought, man, this is a really good idea. Whoever thought this up, well, obviously the person who thought this up, their YouTube channel is G.I. Joe, G.I. Joe, The Lost Chronicles. It's a small YouTube channel. He's got about 1,400 subscribers, he or she, don't know. And what he's done, what he or she has done is to redo parts of old episodes of Star Trek, the original series, using the Mego dolls. And I used to have the Mego playset, with Kirk and Spock, and I have a Klingon. I don't remember. It had the little spinny transporter thingy, and you'd spin it, and they'd beam down to the planet. And so anyway, they do this one he did 4 months ago, and this was the Mego Star Trek Arena episode, the one with the Gorn, which is just really, really clever.
We are the Metrons. You are one of two crafts which have come into our space on a mission of violence. This is not permissible.
I don't understand.
We have prepared a planet with a suitable atmosphere. You will be taken there, as will the captain of the Gorn ship which you have been pursuing. There you will settle your dispute. It is done.
This is genius.
He's gone.
I mean, this is really clever.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise.
Obviously, he uses the original sound.
To explore strange.
I didn't have to tell you that, did I? Mainly, I'm doing this just in case it, hits a weird algorithm or the AI decides I'm stealing a Star Trek episode, which I'm not. And neither is Mego Star Trek at the G.I. Joe Lost Chronicles channel. Brilliant, whoever this is. Fast forward. Oh, well, it's almost done anyway. Here we go. Well, it's not almost done, but he's almost down to the planet. As Mego Mr. Spock. That is so cool.
I have been been somehow whisked off the bridge and placed on the surface of an asteroid, facing the
Which
captain of the alien ship.
It was actually Vasquez Rocks where they shot it. This is so good. I know I could just sit here and watch the rest of this episode. But I won't, because that would be like cheating. So anyway, it's if you're looking for something just to, while the time away, if you're maybe at work or, doing something important and you really just need to get away, that's the way to do it with Mego Star Trek. Or you could spend your time like the guy that we just talked about. What was his name? Chuck? Steve? I can't remember. Steve, right? The guy who made the big paper clips. The big stuff. The big, Steve. Steve. You could be like Steve, or you could be like Mark Zuckerberg. No, not in that way. But in this way, Mark Zuckerberg has decided to have he had a statue of his wife built for their backyard. I know it's weird. It's a 7-foot statue of his wife. His wife's name is Priscilla Chan. It was done in green with a large silver cloak. Almost looks like she's got the cloak of invisibility. He commissioned the job. How much do you think that thing cost? Holy shnikes. Does it say? It does not say. This is according to the Guardian website. In a photo of the statue that he posted to Insta, or IG as the kids call it, Zuckerberg said he was bringing back the Roman tradition of making sculptures of your wife. Well, not sculptures of his wife, but I suppose it could be of your wife. The sculpture was made by Daniel Arsham. He is a New York-based artist who has collaborated with brands including Tiffany and Dior. She is, it doesn't say what it is. Standing next to the statue. That's the real person right there. That's the legit, Ms. Zuckerberg right there. She just doesn't seem to be all that impressed with it, does she? It's got that kind of funny look on her face that, although her mug does match the color of her statue. The statue received a largely positive response from Zuckerberg's followers, who I'm sure that he was very concerned about that. OMG, so beautiful, lucky girl, one person wrote. The other one wrote, this needs to be in a museum. Some other people said this is the most billionaire thing to do ever. And one user said, yikes, this is quite unflattering. Because it doesn't matter what you do. If you're a bazillionaire, people are going to hate what you do with your money, or they're going to love. If you do what they want you to do with your money, if you're a bazillionaire, they'll love you. If you do what they don't want you to do with your money, they'll hate you. A strange world. Zuckerberg didn't even post the photo on Facebook. Although he did apparently post a video of him surfing while wearing a tuxedo and holding an American flag. Yeah, I'm thinking he doth protest too much. So that's what you get your wife. If you want your wife to be impressed. Boy, don't you know that thing was not cheap. And now, a picture of an eye. That's a close-up picture of an eye right there. The headline reads, scientists find humans age dramatically in 2 bursts. The first one is at age 44, and the next burst is at age 60. That's where I am. That was just the alert for the Yeah. If you've noticed a sudden accumulation of wrinkles, aches, and pains, general sensation of having grown older almost overnight might be a scientific explanation. According to the story, research suggests that rather than being a slow and steady process, aging occurs in at least 2 accelerated spurts or bursts. Take your pick of the... it'd be a noun, wouldn't it, at that point? The study tracked thousands of different molecules in people aged 25 to 75. They detected 2 major waves of age-related changes at about age 44 and then at age 60. And having just returned from physical therapy myself with Nick the Beast, and, there's a new chiropractor there, and I think it's Dr. David. I let that man fondle my knee, and I didn't even... It's Dr. David. Let me just tell you, he was best knee fondler. I mean, I'm secure enough in my manhood, and I don't have a problem with another man fondling my knee, especially the way he was pushing on it. Anyway, the findings could explain why spikes in certain health issues, including musculoskeletal problems and cardiovascular disease, occur at certain ages. In other words, you wake up one day when you're 60 and shit you didn't even know you had hurts. That's generally the way it works. We're not just changing gradually over time. There are some really dramatic changes, according to Professor Michael Snyder, a geneticist and a director for the Center for Genomics and Personalized Medicine at Stanford, and the senior author of the study. It turns out the mid-40s is a time of dramatic change, as is the early 60s. And it's true no matter what class of molecules you look at. The research tracked 108 different volunteers. They submitted blood and stool samples, right? And skin, oral, and nasal swabs every few months for between 1 and nearly 7 years. The researchers assessed 135 different molecules and microbes, which, by the way, would be a great title for a movie or an autobiography, Molecules and Microbes. Also, the bacteria, the viruses, the fungi living in the guts and on the skin of the participants. The abundance of most molecules and microbes did not shift in a gradual chronological fashion. No. The scientists looked for clusters of molecules, and the largest shifts they found, those transformations tended to occur when people were in their mid-40s and early 60s. And at first, the 40s thing was thought to be the result of perimenopause and those changes in women. But the data revealed that similar shifts were happening in men in their mid-40s, too. That's right. Maybe Tampon Tim was right. Maybe he wasn't. Either way, if you're closing in on mid-40s or if you're closing in on the on the 60s, either way, you're getting older. Checking in over on the, this is the, which chat room is this? This is the one at midweekmalarkey.com. Freebie38 says, Zuckerberg can feel free to send me money anytime. I mean, I'm not asking for much, only $100 million. It's true. Zuckerberg has enough money that he could send each of us, I don't know, 1,000, 10,000, 1,500. Not that he has to. But, I mean, he could send us money. Lady Coog says he spent more on that god-awful statue, I bet. I don't know if, was it horrible? I mean, it's not completely unfortunate. It's just weird. I mean, I'll give it that. It's just weird. Over on, let's see, on the YouTube, Tech Cruise over in the YouTube. Present but driving. Sandy, hey, how are you? Thank you for being there. And meanwhile, over on, who's watching on Twitter? Some folks watching on Twitter. Thank you for doing that. Appreciate you. All kinds of fun stuff. The sponsor of this particular episode of Midweek Malarkey is GetWellMojo.com. I mean, after all, there's always some sort of crud going on out there, right? There's always something making you feel bad, making you feel all schnizzy. And the beautiful thing about GetWellMojo.com is that you can find all of these different medical emergency kits. You can find the travel emergency kit. You can find the contagion emergency kit. And some of them are actually targeted specifically to you and your prescriptions so that you don't run out of medications that you need, especially if the apocalypse hits, and who knows, anything could happen at this point. So go to getwellmojo.com, take a look at their medical emergency kits and their travel emergency kits, and even some of their supplements. I've started taking the, is it the Elevated Energy? Well, it certainly isn't the memory one, is it? Anyway, and I think it's hard to, when you start taking something, it's hard to, do I feel like I'm 20 again? No. I strangely do have more energy. Anyway, I'll keep you posted on how that works. But get more information and buy something if you want to over at getwellmojo.com. And now, on with the countdown. I asked the Google AI machine to come up with a picture of an ugly person, and well, that's not right. That's not the right picture. No, the ugly person. That's not the right picture. Control room, the ugly. There we go. He's not horrible. He's probably uglier than Ron Phillips. Both of that. See, this guy has his own sort of wonky eye. But the headline reads, from the Daily Mail, less attractive people live shorter lives than those deemed better looking, according to a study. It's unfair, but being attractive and or unattractive could mean you are more likely to die younger than your good-looking peers. In fact, ugly men live nearly a year less on average than those who were considered good-looking. Unattractive women die on average 2 years early than those who are more blessed in the looks department, according to a study published in Social Science and Medicine. And if you haven't been to their Christmas party, let me just tell you, don't bother wearing the britches. You ain't going to need them. The researchers from Arizona State University and the University of Texas at Austin analyzed data from a long-running study that tracked more than 8,300 Wisconsin high school students from 1957 to their old age or death in 2022. That is weird. What was the last reunion I went to? It's been a while. It's like 40. Be the 42nd. Ugh. Ugh. And you can quote me on that. Time flies. Ugh. Alongside a lifetime of health data, researchers also collected yearbook photos and tasked independent arbiters to rate their attractiveness. The looks of the participants were then ranked into 6 categories from most to least attractive. And you know who you are. Using the National Death Index, researchers also compared the deaths that occurred in the group to up to 2022 and found almost half of the sample passed away by the end of the follow-up period. Those in the bottom of the 6 categories for attractiveness were 16.8% more likely to have died than those in the middle 4 rankings. Remember, beauty is only skin deep, but ugly goes all the way to the bone. The mortality rate difference between the middle 4 rankings and the ones that were ranked highest for attractiveness weren't significant. Now, they don't really know why. The guy, just the look on his face, right? It's... Yeah, if you hadn't guessed yet, that's an AI image. And if you want to know what the prompt was, well, that's not the prompt. Hang on a second. The prompt for this one was a man in his 30s who is laughably ugly. Wonder what I say. A man in his early 40s who is really, really ugly. Let's see what that gives us. Stand by. It's generating. It's generating. Oh, no, see, I don't. Okay, this is what it says. Hang on, I'm going to surprise you with it. This is what it says. A man, and again, you heard a man in his early 40s who is really, really ugly. He's not ugly. I mean, is he? He doesn't look ugly to me. He looks like seasoned. This doesn't seem fair, does it? Let's see what happens. What about a woman in her 40s? Why does it have to be in their 40s? A woman in her, because I was just talking about 40s and 60s being, the age thing. That's the only reason. A woman in her 40s who is really, really, really ugly. Hang on a minute. It's thinking. See, it gets this wrong because this isn't right either. These are not what I would consider ugly people. She's not ugly. Although it is kind of laughable because that's AI's depiction of a woman in her 40s. She probably has 8 fingers on one hand, but she's not like really, really ugly. You just can't trust AI, can you? No, you can't. Moving along. This is in Georgetown County in South Carolina. 2 siblings in South Carolina were arrested. All right, just say that. Is she ugly? Is he ugly? I mean, he's goofy looking. She's not ugly, right? And neither one. Well, he's kind of goofy. Anyway, so they were arrested and charged with assault after insults over unseasoned chicken turned into a brawl involving Raid bug spray, a gun, and a knife. Deputies were called to a home in Georgetown County Sunday night about an assault in progress, according to the official report. When Deputy Kyle Burns and Corporal Simpson arrived, they were told the situation began when Anthony Harper, that'd be him on the left, was asked by his sister, Hope Harper, that's her on the right, why he didn't season the chicken that was cooking so it could crust up. Anthony Harper then told his sister he believed their grandmother would season it, after which Hope Harper called him a dumb dog. I mean, just looking at him, that could be accurate. I'm not making any judgment calls here, but according to the report, police then said Anthony Harper then shoved his sister into a table and punched her about 5 times. That's not very nice. The two continued to fight alongside another victim, according to the report, until someone else in the home came into the room and did what any of us would do, fired a 9mm handgun into the ceiling. Because that's going to break it up, right? I mean, that's what we always see in the movies. Somebody comes in and then they go, what? And it's like, hey, stop it. You're being stupid. Hope Harper then went into the kitchen and did what any, typical woman that I'd been married to would do. She grabbed a steak knife, at which point, see what they did there? She grabbed at which point At which point Anthony Harper, fearing for his life, ran to his grandmother's door. Pussy. Hope Harper then started swinging the knife toward her brother, but their grandmother came out of her room, grabbed a broom, and started swatting Hope Harper until she walked away. Who knew? Was this a broom that Hope rode or that grandmother rode? We don't know. Anthony Harper, following the shooting away from Hope, by Grandma with a broom. Anthony Harper then grabbed a can of Raid bug spray and sprayed Hope Harper on the face and the neck. Hope Harper then took the can away and sprayed him back. Deputy said both Anthony and Hope Harper chose to press charges against the other. Damn straight. The two were arrested and booked into the Georgetown County Detention Center. Anthony Harper was booked on 2 charges of assault and battery, one in the 3rd degree and one in the 2nd. Hope Harper, on the other hand, faces a charge of assault and battery in the 3rd degree. Both Anthony and Hope Harper were released on bond, according to the report. And you thought life around your house at the holidays was fascinating. You ain't got nothing on them. Time for we got a couple of seconds here. Do you want one of these? Yes, that is a cicada-infused Malort. I think that's how you say it. Malort shot. The Noon Whistle Brewing Company. They are in, where the hell are they? They are in Illinois. Go figure. We've had the cicada here lately. It's been, you hear them all around. We're in the middle of like the double whammy for over 7 years. So they promoted this as the Jeppson's Malort during the height of the cicada influx. The liqueur was promoted as apparently nobody likes this Jeppson Malort. I've never heard of it. But the drink, unfortunately, even because they advertised, was illegal according to the Illinois Liquor Control Commission. You bringer, you do it. They issued a fine of an undisclosed amount to Noon Whistle Brewing with locations in Lombard and Naperville for selling the creative drink during the rare overlap of the 2 cicada broods. The brewery confirmed the fine in an email but declined to share the details. We've complied. We've paid the fine to avoid any further mess. They wrote on their social media, effective immediately, we do not sell the cicada-infused Malort. Boo. It was a fun little moment. It sort of honestly started as a joke and a dare, and it just really totally blew up. I can't. Nope. We're moving on. They're not doing that anymore. No more cicadas in the drinks. However, speaking of batteries and dogs, in Oklahoma, a serious house fire, and this reminds me of a story we had a couple of weeks ago. Remember the dog who turned on the oven, turned on the stove, and then walked away, and he lit the house on fire, lit the kitchen on fire, and people are like, hey, why the hell is the... And then they went back and they looked at their security footage, and it turned out that the dog had been chewing or had been standing on its hind legs, literally, and it turned on and burned the kitchen. Anyway, this video here of a dog who goes and gets like one of those battery packs, one of the little pack that you take with you, the charge stuff, supplemental battery. Anyway, the footage taken from the home posted last week on Tulsa Fire Department's Facebook page shows the dog gnawing at this battery pack, and guess what happens? Yeah, it catches fire, which then catches the mattress on fire, and then the damn dogs just stand there and stare at it like a couple of stupid dogs. Wait a minute, where'd the cat go? There was a cat somewhere in there too. Do you see the cat? The cat's like, what the hell are you doofuses doing? When the battery finally starts, the one dog's like, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing? Stop chewing on it. What do you mean stop chewing? I think, see, the cat's like, the hell with this. I am out of here. And to be honest, both the dogs were too. Dude, what'd you do? You just chewed. You made it do the weird thing that start. And of course, it's only the cat's like, I color my ass gone. And the dogs are standing there staring at it going, oh, this is pretty fire. And of course they do what dogs do. They bark at it and wag their tails and go, wow, it's kind of warm and stuff. It's pretty, right? All the pets escaped uninjured through the pet door. Fire department said the Tulsa area home was significantly damaged by the fire in May, but the 2 dogs and the cat escaped through the pet door. Did they escape the beating? That, I don't know. And another exciting episode of Midweek Malarkey is in the can, appropriately enough. Please remember to smash that like button if there is one, subscribe if you can, rate and review if it's possible, and tell a couple of friends about the show. Help spread the word if you please. Coming up tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock Central, it's another fun-filled excursion into the real world on the Daily Mojo with me and producer Ron. Every Saturday morning at 9 o'clock Central, join me and Jeff Fisher from the Chewing the Fat podcast as we point out the absurd, the ridiculous, and the abnormal. And that's just Congress. Hey-o. Now go forth and be fruitful. We need to outpopulate the stupid. I'll let Habib have the last word.